Okay. So first of all, I wanted to say that I don't say outsmarted myself. I wasn't smart enough. I actually did play some lineups where I had some heat exposure, but I just didn't get it right in the early games. So I really thought that the Heat game was worth the risk. And I also, I won't say faded, but I also didn't play all that much Lillard. But what I ended up screwing up? I had like this Okogie business. He didn't do anything. I had Trent instead of. I thought Trent would still be a good play. He didn't do anything. So I'm sort of dead in the early stuff.
That's too bad. I didn't end up playing it because it felt very volatile, and I just thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to deal with the headache of tonight instead of focusing on that one personally.
Yeah, so there's no value tonight, right?
Yeah, I don't understand what people are talking. I mean, there's got to be, right? Like it just because there's going to be. So we have Patrick Williams now questionable. I don't know where that's going to exactly make me want to go though. I think people are going to play Lowry. I mean, coming off of an injury and his first back-to-back of the season, third game in 4 days. I would rather just sit that one out personally.
Lowry
Markkanen.
Oh, I mean Kyle Lowry. I'm like,
no, sorry. That's my fault. Okay. But Patrick, I was just as Patrick Williams.
Oh, right. Sorry.
You could see Thad Young getting the start. You could see Temple. Valentine might have some upside off the bench, but they're not even like cheap. There's a chance like maybe Arcidiacono gets enough run tonight where at the absolute minimum that he's in play.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
I think that if we get the word that Williams is out, that he actually might become a little more popular. I mean, remember third game in 4 nights for these Bulls. You did have Kobe White only play 25 minutes in the last one. Levine was really bad in the last game. I don't know. It is hard to find the value, and I think maybe we should try and rank it if we can. And it's hard to do without knowing the Patrick Williams things for sure. But again, my thoughts on these things. We've seen this a million times, Sheets, and without a certain type of guy, if you get a midday downgrade, especially an hour and a half before tip off, it usually is a bad sign, especially for a rookie that they probably wouldn't want to put in a 3 out of 4. But they're also sitting Porter, so I don't know. It depends on what that would open up for us. But I think that Arcidiacono actually would become in play. Doesn't feel great to say that out loud. And then the other guys, Temple, Valentine, it's hard to project beyond those guys who else will get run. And Thaddeus Young. My issue with that is here's the oldest guy on this team again, third game in 4 nights, back to back, But again, he should get like 20 plus minutes of run, and he's 3,800. It's pretty gross. So, yeah, I mean, you look at the value; it's almost all at the top. I mean, any projection system you're using, I can tell you it's gonna spit out, especially on DraftKings, that pretty much the top players are the best value plays, which is a little bit odd. Starting with guys like Durant and Harden. So I guess we should, I guess we can go game by game again, and then maybe.
Yeah, because my builds have like none of that.
You don't have any Harden.
I have none of the top players like at all. So
okay.
The closest thing I have to a top player is Curry. So we'll. Well,
that's good. That's one of them.
We'll talk about that. So, Milwaukee and Brooklyn. The first thing I'd like to mention is that on FanDuel, 2 of the best values, just one-off values, are coming from that game, and just totally kind of random. But Dante DiVincenzo is a really good price on FanDuel, and also Joe Harris on FanDuel is a really good price also.
Yeah.
So that was that was my one comment on that. DiVincenzo is, what I mean, like he's not gonna win you much by himself, but just if you need a place, you need to plug somebody in. I mean, he's good.
He'll be the ultra chalk. It's a good matchup, obviously. Yeah. But I'm good with it too. We like you said, we don't have the value that we're sort of hoping for.
So talk to me about a couple of guys. So talk to me about DeAndre Jordan, and talk to me about the secondary Milwaukee guys like Brook Lopez. What's his name? Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton.
So I like all of Milwaukee. I think this is a ceiling type of environment, and I think that you should treated as such. I don't see how DeAndre Jordan fits into this game exactly. To be honest with you, it makes more sense to me that Jeff Green would end up with more run than DeAndre Jordan, because DeAndre Jordan does not come out to the perimeter very often, and that's pretty much where Brook Lopez lives on the offensive end. They've also got a million other guys to rebound, so they don't need him. I kind of like. I don't think Lopez is a bad play, especially FanDuel the center position is a little bit questionable outside of Wiseman, and even that's high variance probably. But you're going to get the 30 plus minutes. He's pretty consistent. There is some block shot upside. It's his former team. They doesn't play defense. He should get some open looks. So I don't mind Lopez. I do like if I had to pick any of the other Milwaukee guys, I would go Middleton, then Holiday. But I don't think it's that big of a gap between them. And Middleton's going to be significantly more owned, especially. Actually, I think he'll be more owned on both sides by a pretty good amount. Go ahead.
Finish.
No, those are pretty much my guys. I think we can go game by game on draft and then talk about DraftKings, then maybe talk about positions on FanDuel, because I'm still trying to figure some of this stuff out.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to get in, I had a pretty strong feeling for. It's kind of gone away a little bit. And what's going to happen, I think, because of Kyrie not playing, is you're going to see a ton of ownership on Harden. And I don't think you're going to see the same ownership on Luka that we thought you were going to see at the beginning of the day.
Well, yeah. So let's finish up this game and you mentioned it earlier, that same comment about DeAndre Jordan. You don't see how he fits in, and I agree. Like, from a basketball perspective, this is one of those battles where he's going to project. He projects well, but I think that the projection really doesn't take into account. I don't want to say game flow, but it's kind of like it's like basketball. You know what I mean? Because this is like literally the worst matchup for him. You have a guy who's going to pull him away from the basket, and it just doesn't seem like his pace, his type of deal. So I might actually play some Jeff Green because of what you said. That makes a great amount of sense. And so again, as far as this game goes, I think we pretty much covered it, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I want to reiterate that I really like Giannis here.
Okay.
I really like. I think that you have. Not if it was me, it is me, but I think I will have Milwaukee, at least one Milwaukee player in all of my lineups. I don't. Again, you can reach down for DJ Augustine value. I don't love that, but we don't have a ton else to work with. And then the wild card play from this game that I just want to remind people is that. There's a part of me that thinks like these Giannis and these guys have got to be kind of pissed. Like, they're getting talked about. Oh, Brooklyn's going to win all this stuff, and not to mention that they're just. I just think Milwaukee's a better team right now with the way things are currently constructed. So I feel like they're going to come out and be aggressive and put their best foot forward, and it's like the ceiling matchup. But if it does turn into a blowout of any sort, and even if it doesn't, there's still a chance Bobby Portis just goes completely nuts in this game. This is a perfect matchup for Bobby Portis.
Thank you, Peyton, with the news. Sterling Brown out.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So you want to move on?
Yeah, we move on. I'll say what's up to K9, Bronco, John, and the other guys. No problem, guys. Let's see. Peeps are missing out. Thanks, man. Appreciate the kind words. Any more going up on State Kings for me? I don't think I'm going to put much more up there tonight. I don't love this slate, to be honest with you. But I'm still playing it. I just think that it's hard to get too creative effectively. We did talk about it, but I mean, James Harden and KD are both good plays. I'm siding with Harden just because of how much he's going to have the ball and the triple double upside and the 3-pointers are the way to beat this team. They're both great plays. It's just you can't play Giannis and these guys. We just don't have the value for it.
Yeah, I'm only playing two lineups on FanDuel. FanDuel, I am playing Harden in one of them, and I'm actually playing Harden with Drew Holiday.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
So Dallas, Toronto. Here's what I wanted to mention. Again, first of all, on FanDuel, Porzingis is mispriced, and I think is a lock. On FanDuel, he's like 60-something hundred over there.
I'm still waiting the late news that says he's not going to play or something.
Okay, well,
that's my other speculative again, we'll know. We should know about it.
If that's the case, then that's the case. Then that's the case.
No, of course, yeah.
The other thing is, I think that I know that Dallas is rated pretty good defensively this year, and they're playing at kind of a slower pace. But I just kind of don't care. I mean, Lowry at 7,700 on DraftKings and whatever his price is on FanDuel, I think are just kind of too juicy. 7,400 on FanDuel is, for me, just kind of too juicy to pass up. I know he's going to be really, really chalky, but it's going to be hard for me to not play, especially considering the rest of the way I'm building. I think I'm building around all these freaking mid-range guys. I think. Mm-hmm. The other thing I wanted to ask you about Boucher, and then that was it. Like, that's all I had from this game. Like, I like Lowry both places. I'm not getting to Luka. I'd love to. I didn't see how to do it though.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, you have to not play one of the guys we already mentioned, or you have to just play one of them. And if I had to rank it, I still love Luka as a play tonight. I think this is a great matchup for him. I don't see KP playing as many minutes tonight. I just can't see. I mean, he's too good of a coach, Carlisle, to put him out there for a bunch of minutes on a back-to-back, and they're not in a desperation mode to win games yet. Now, Kristaps could still get there. I like him on FanDuel as well. I just wish that I don't know. I don't feel great. I don't feel like it's like a lock that he gets there. I'm not quite as strong as you are on that, but I do think he'll have in his ownership probably less than 20%. I definitely have some interest in that. And so if I had to rank these guys on the Toronto side, first of all, because it's a little hard to do with Dallas because they're so just different, I would go Lowry and Anunoby on DraftKings. I would go Lowry. I'm sorry. In DraftKings, I would go Lowry. What did I have rated here? Sorry. Lowry, Boucher, Van Vliet, and Anunoby, Siakam. That's just how I have it. It's hard to get Siakam in too, unless you do a totally different type of build. And you could do the middling build, but then you can play Lowry and Siakam or one of them. I prefer Lowry and Van Vliet like above Siakam. I'll just put it that way. And I do like Boucher on DraftKings, not on FanDuel. On the Dallas side, I think that Luka is a great play. Again, how do we get him in? What late value can we speculate on? So one thing I'm doing where I'm trying to cram some of these guys in is playing some really nonsense Lakers stuff. Alex Caruso, hoping for late information again. That's really we need it before 8 Eastern. But it could open up some things if anything were to happen or anybody ends up sitting out and on either side here. It's not the most fun play in the world, but Caruso or Damian Lee, like you really have to cram to try and get those guys in. So that's if you want to play Luka.
Mike Bourne, we're going to get there. Gino, we're going to get there with your questions. We're going to get there really, really quickly, actually.
Yeah. Another one I'm using a little bit of is Awundu. I don't like it. He's going to play minutes. I never like playing him. If there's the kind of slate to play him on, though, this would be it. Desperate for value. He's a part of a game that I like. It's an up-paced matchup for Dallas. He should be able to get a few looks. I think KP will play a few less minutes tonight. All these things. James Johnson on a back-to-back at his age is getting up there. Although this guy's, the number one guy you'd ever want to take with you in a fight by far in the NBA because he's like a whatever degree black belt too, in addition to being a monster and pretty menacing looking dude. But Awundu, Trey Burke on FanDuel we should talk about because he's 4,300. We're desperate for value, and Trey Burke can shoot his way into the game. Now with Jalen Brunson back, that's going to make it a little tricky. We don't have confirmation, I don't think, but I think he is going to play from what the speculation that I've seen. Sure, it makes Burke maybe a little bit more volatile. You don't want to play him on DraftKings, but I do think at 4.3, it's cheap enough to where we can take a shot there. And the other guy you can take a shot with in this game, and it feels gross to say this, but not to feel gross actually. You could take a shot with Boban. We're looking, as long as we're desperate for value, we've certainly made worse mistakes than a guy who could, go out there and put up 25 for us. And I think that really is possible for him in like 15 minutes. It's again, a good matchup. And so those are sort of the guys I'm considering. But the priorities, I don't think we need to prioritize anyone from the Dallas side here. I do think what you want to get one of these Raptors in, for me, primarily Lowry, Boucher, Van Vliet on DraftKings, and Lowry, then Van Vliet in that order on FanDuel. But yeah, it's going to be hard to get Luka in. I guess we can move on to the next one with all that being said.
Yeah, so I'm going to reiterate what I said honestly at our noon show. and Sterling Brown out doesn't hurt. My take. I think that Eric Gordon and Victor Oladipo both go bananas in this matchup. I think that I'm playing them both together in my big buy-in, and I really do feel that the Bulls are just literally Coors Field. Them and the Kings. I mean, you just play guys against them, and I'm going to do that. I'd like to play Christian Wood, but this is sick, man. I can't even get him in. I'm trying to get guys in that I want, and I can't get him in either. But I definitely like him. My original build, I actually was going to have 4 Rockets, but I couldn't quite make it happen.
Yeah.
Here's what I was gonna ask you about. Now again, this is not the type of guy to take advantage of the situation, but I wanted to ask you about PJ Tucker. And on the Chicago side, you kind of alluded to it a little earlier, and in this show, and it's the 12 o'clock thing. I kind of brought this up. I don't really even need to run it back with Chicago guys. I feel as though LaVine is very priced healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little afraid to play Kobe White only because I thought that some of these guys would be back. Like I thought Satoransky would be back. He's not. I thought that now you're telling me that other dude might be out.
Patrick Williams.
Yeah, Williams might be out. So I don't know. A really interesting one I thought of playing from Chicago on FanDuel too, but on DraftKings was actually Wendell Carter. At no ownership, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, I mean, I really like the Houston guys. I don't think I need to go into the McLemores and the, like and all those. I think I want to play Oladipo and I want to play Eric Gordon. And if they, for whatever reason, limit Oladipo, I'm going to lose. I think they're just going to play him. I mean, I don't know. I think it's like a perfect spot to see how he can play. And between him and Eric Gordon, I'm kind of into that.
So what worries me a little bit about it is that, first of all, these guys are going to be absolutely massive chalk. Eric Gordon might be the highest owned player on DraftKings. So that worries me a little bit for a guy who's shooting dependent, and I can find other ways to get 25 fantasy points from somebody who's 5K. That's my first thought.
That makes sense.
Jae'Sean Tate, same thing. Who wasn't mentioned, but I think there's other routes. I sort of would rather play the PJ Tucker than Jae'Sean Tate. I feel more safe about the minutes. And then I also think that I agree with your assessment of the plays. I just think I'm going to try and find a way to get Christian Wood in if I can.
Right.
And it's hard to do. But right now I have him as one of my priority guys tonight. And to be honest, I would like to stack this game. And I would like to know who's going to be out. I have a feeling that one of these guys, I have a feeling that Williams is going to be out and that somebody else is going to get there. I actually think that the right way to do this stack, if you do it, is probably to play LaVine.
I tried that too. You don't. Okay, I'll show you how I can do that in a minute.
Yeah, you have to avoid everybody else. Play Wood, Gordon, Oladipo, and him, and then just get the value.
Well, no, I play him instead of Curry. Is basically what I do.
I know it feels wrong. The weird part is that it feels wrong, but I just want to point out about Zach LaVine. He's put up 55 or more in 3 out of the last 4. He actually played less minutes on the back-to-back. He only took 8 shots. He must have been tired. I am a little worried about his ankle. I traded him in my fantasy league, but I think he's actually a little bit beaten up. But otherwise, I still kind of like him. And no one's going to play Kobe White on draft.
Yeah.
And there is a ceiling there, and this is a good matchup for both these teams. It is tempting to kind of stack it. The reason I'm not getting to Wendell Carter is I love Wendell Carter in general, but he's expensive, and he has only played 30 minutes in 1 out of the last 10 games. Now, he might again, but on a back-to-back, I don't think that's what the way they're going to play it. So I think you're going to see these other guys sprinkled in. Archie Diacono, whoever you end up here starts, if Williams doesn't, is going to be a good play. Don't forget, we're also already missing Otto Porter. It could be Denzel Valentine, who he wouldn't start probably, but he might end up having a game tonight after not even playing in the last game. And actually, that would make some sense on the back-to-back. So another desperate value play in a large field GPP would be Wendell Carter for me.
I'll tell you, that Arcidiacono play is going to be is the ultimate mad scientist play. I mean,
do you think that I think that other people are going to do this?
You think?
I do, especially if we get word on Williams officially out. because his ownership went from 0.01 or whatever the hell. I was looking at different sites earlier today, and now he's up to like 7.5% projected.
Yeah,
trying to get in these big boys. So if we can find a middling build, and we'll talk about that, we got plenty of time. It's only 4 games, so we can.
Yeah.
But the problem is even the middling build, the middle guys are too expensive. You know what I mean? On DraftKings. So it's like Lauri Markkanen at 6.7 at high ownership. I'm just going to avoid it personally. I get it. He's a good player. It's a good matchup. It's a back-to-back, the first one coming off an injury of 3 and 4 nights. I just don't see them just running these guys to death out there, which means it should open up Thaddeus Young and Denzel Valentine and Arcidiacono. And again, I do like Kobe White, but let's move over to the Warriors and Lakers, because I think this game is going to have a ton of ownership, and I think that there is very, very real blowout possibilities here.
Well, of course, there's real blowout possibilities. I mean, the Lakers are playing, right? I mean, so
good too.
So the popular guys, I presume, are going to be. I mean, they're going to be all of them, right? I mean,
it's going to be Wiseman and Green are going to be massive chalk on DraftKings. Yeah. On FanDuel, Green will be less owned, but on DraftKings they sort of just fit in. And maybe if you want to do something just very, very basic, a guy who's actually, even since Draymond has come back, has actually outscored him in terms of fantasy points is Kelly Oubre, and he'll be 1/6 his own, or 1/5 his own. So you can just make that exact 1v1 swap and get less ownership. You're still going to have some, but it will be much less.
Yeah, I mean, I experimented with playing all of them. I mean, with Curry, Oubre, Wiseman, and Draymond. Just for a construction perspective, you know what I mean? Maybe individually they'll all get ownership, but maybe all 4 of them together, no one's going to do. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But if there's a way to do that, then I would suggest foregoing the other guys and trying to play one of LeBron or AD.
Yeah. Who do you like better? Do you like LeBron better or AD better?
So I'll go a little narrative on this one. I don't think LeBron. I mean, look, as a person, I don't think anybody could just dislike Steph. I think he's a great guy. He gets less respect from like the other elite in the NBA than anybody I've ever seen. And I think LeBron was, no, it's not hidden. This is not like hidden NBA news. This stuff is all out there. He was pissed that this guy dominated what was supposed to be his era, that got 2 MVPs instead of him, that dominated his team in the finals, other than the one year where they came back from the 3-1 where Draymond got hurt. I could see LeBron getting a little bit extra up for this game. But I like AD also because the matchup is just really good. Now, I know these numbers haven't been there, and I know they're coasting and all that, and I think that it could be a blowout, all that stuff. But if I was going to play 3 or 4 of the Warriors, I absolutely would try and change my build and try and play one of these guys on the other side of it. And I think that LeBron would be the first one, and then AD just after him. But LeBron's it was every year they were playing in the finals against this team. So if there's any extra narrative to take away from it on a night like tonight, where it's hard to really love too much, playing a guy like LeBron, if he goes out and puts up 65 or 70, kind of feels stupid not to have him if I'm going to play Curry.
So we talked about all these guys are going to be huge chalks. I mean, they can't play everybody, right?
Well, the guys are going to. So here's going to be in my take is on.
I'll go through who I have.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
Like ownership wise, but go ahead. What were you going to say? I mean,
I was going to say that I think that Gordon, Draymond Green, James Wiseman, Oladipo will be the 4 far and away heaviest owned players on the slate. We didn't mention Bruce Brown, by the way, who sadly enough is actually in play, but is going to have more ownership than I probably want to care to give him. And I think that with Harden there, it's not going to be like the same deal where he's going to be able to create sometimes and do stuff. I just don't see it as being the same. And I do have Bruce Brown as being really, really highly owned as well. I think James Harden will be highly owned. He'll be the highest owned spend up. I think that Chris Middleton would be the highest owned middle guy, and just behind him would be Christian Wood. That's what I've got.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have on DraftKings. I have pretty sizable lead in ownership to Eric Gordon, and then almost 50%, I think. And then after that, I have the 2 Golden State guys, like you said, Draymond and Wiseman. And then Oladipo, Middleton.
Yep.
So, I mean, I do have LeBron at only 10-15%.
Yeah, I actually have him less than that on DraftKings, and I think that's right because I don't think people are going to play him. I think they're going to try and play one of the Nets, either Harden or Durant. Next, they'll go for Giannis, and then probably after that would come Luka or a middling build.
So to answer your question, I told you I would get to you, Don. I like Cousins. I like him on FanDuel. I like him at 4,500 on FanDuel. I think he's a really, really good pivot off of Wiseman.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually like him a lot. 4,500, you don't have to do too – listen, Cousins doesn't have to do too much at 4,500 to just get there. And he always has upside. And, and Wendell Carter Jr. is he's not going to dominate DeMarcus Cousins, right?
Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins had a double-double the other night in 17 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah. He can put up a monster score in no time.
So I actually like him quite a bit. I don't know if I can get to him on DraftKings for whatever reason, but on FanDuel at 4,500, I really do like him.
Yeah, and he's going to be incredibly low owned. So that's kind of a clever play, actually. I don't mind that at all as well. We're looking for value, and that actually is some value. Mason Jones, I don't think is going to. As of right now, I think he's actually now he'll play because we lost. What's his name? I don't know if I can do it. It's tempting to me because I'm looking for that spot, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to get there. Did we just miss something? Did something else happen here?
Why? What happened?
No. I just noticed. Oh, there we go. That Detroit game being in my lineups page, my starting lineups page, has drawn me off.
I'm looking through any news that's popped up. I don't really see anything.
Mason Jones would be like the 10th man on tonight, probably on the and don't look at the recent numbers and say, okay, we played 35 minutes in the last game. We have a totally different team. There's Eric Gordon back. There's Oladipo now. There's a chance Mason Jones doesn't play 1 minute. KJ Martin, he might get a little bit of run. Like, I don't know. I'm not on Mason Jones yet. If something for some reason were to switch and somehow he's like, I don't know. I got a projection of him that thought he was going to play 20 minutes. I would have some interest, but I just don't see how he does that. And I honestly think that even if he plays, like when you're playing with Oladipo and Gordon and Christian Wood or Cousins, it's not like he's going to have the same usage he did before. So do you want to jump over and just talk positions on FanDuel?
Yeah, okay. I will. Let me just pull this up here. Okay, FanDuel positions. Wait, that is the wrong sport. Just give me a second.
You and all your sports, man. This guy plays more of everything. I'll answer some questions while we're pulling it up real quick.
No, I'm fine. I got it. All right, what do you want to do first?
Cousins and Wood together, I think, would be a mistake. Guys, don't get mad in chat. We're always going to try and get to the questions. Middleton pivot off Giannis. I don't think there's any pivot there. I think Middleton's going to be a higher owned than Giannis by a pretty good amount. So that's where I'm at. On DK, do I think a Harden Durant Greek freak is needed, or would it be better to get down to these 7 or 8K guys? If you think you can trust the value, which I don't feel like you can, then it's tough to do that. I also don't like the idea of playing those, even though Harden, they all could so easily go off. There's just other plays that I don't know. I don't know that I want to that I need to play all 3 of them together with this limited value sheets. What do you think about all 3 of those guys?
I'll tell you what I think. I think that the most important thing that's mentioned so far in the last half an hour is is this Arcidiacono thing. Like, I want to know who's starting in that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would like to know. When does that game start?
It's at 8.
That's at 8 o'clock. I would like to know who starts, because if Arcidiacono starts that game, I want that. I do.
I don't think he'll start because they'll play Levine and White as usual.
Right.
I do think he still has the bench run. Yeah, I think if he was starting, I think you'll see just massive chalk with the way that this slate is playing out.
Depends when they announce it, though.
Yeah, that's true. Very, very true. So,
again, you want to do positions or?
Yeah. So let me get I'm actually going to make a couple Arcidiacono. Let's do positions. All right. So at Point guard, I think that you have a few really, really, really good options, and the main ones are going to be Lowry and Luka. That's not getting different at all. Curry would be the next guy I would go for. I don't mind your Holiday idea at all. I think he's going to have a little more ownership than I would want, and it just makes me want to just jump right over and take Kobe White at much less ownership. That's my
DJ Augustine's really going to be like 15-20% owned.
DJ Augustine,
yeah,
that's what I'm seeing. He's the minimum cost, and he's playing enough minutes, and we're desperate for value. Again, I don't think he's necessarily a better play than Arcidiacono is.
What I'm looking at point guard is like the top projected guys relative to value are the top owned guys. I don't see a lot of holes in this. The one guy, I'll just throw it out there, the one guy that I have whose ownership is not quite as good, not quite as high as maybe it could be, is the guy you mentioned before. That would be Kobe White.
I love Kobe White, and I like Trey Burke. Those are your two pivots off the chalk.
I'm going to write this down right now. I might actually change my main lineup to have him. Okay. Okay, so let's go to shooting guard.
Yep. Pretty straightforward here. There's going to be three guys who soak up almost all the ownership. It's going to be Harden, DiVincenzo, and Oladipo. I like all of those guys. I find myself trying to find reasons to fade Oladipo a little bit, and I may not need to over here because he might be lower owned than these other two guys. And then you're going to get some people with Van Vliet. I don't love a ton of the pivots at this position. You can maybe punt with an Iwundu. Again, I don't love that. You're desperate for value, and that's what we're trying to do. The other one that's going to be unowned is Zach LaVine. And it's funny because, so let's just say for argument's sake that, yeah, Zach LaVine's too expensive and all this. This perception of him has been that way all the time. Is Zach LaVine like ever 10% owned sheets on this? Like, he never is.
No, he wins. Never plays him.
Half of his last, no more than that. 4 out of the last 7 slates he played, I don't know if he was on the winning lineup, but he certainly put up numbers where he should have been on the winning lineup. He puts up monster. I mean, if he's in the mid 50s now, I know the price. There's other guys on the slate. I'm just going to throw it out there. He's the only one that stands out as an off the chalk play that works for me.
So for me, there are two guys that work as off the chalk plays that work. One, actually, there are two. One you just mentioned, Zach LaVine. The other one, I guess it's not. I was going to say. I mean, he's going to be owned too. I mean, not as much. I say Van Vliet. If you play him,
I like Van Vliet.
And not play Lowry, you're saving a little ownership there. The other guy is the guy you mentioned just a little while ago. I mean, it's not the sexiest play, but you could play Bruce Brown, punt the shooting guard there.
Yeah, that occurred to me too. I thought I would rather go like Iwundu's going to play more minutes. I know he's not as good a player. He's obviously a little bit cheaper, but that's just sort of where I decided to go. And then the other weird off the board guy for me would have been Connaughton, I guess, which I forgot to mention before. But I'm not really thrilled about any of it.
You want shooting for small forward?
Yeah, this is why I hate the slate. Is I like the chalk. I hate when I like the chalk.
No, this isn't that bad. I thought, it's funny. I'm staring at it this way, and I actually like something here.
You got to play for me at small forward.
A little bit, and it's from it's sort of an anti-Lowry plays, and that's Siakam. That's going to be my kind of ranked a little bit better projection-wise than his ownership would allow. So I'm going to say Siakam. And now, again, the obvious play, I mean, like Joe Harris is cheap, as I mentioned earlier. Eric Gordon is cheap. These guys are both going to be 25% owned. Even LeBron, I think on FanDuel is probably getting owned a little bit.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, that's what I would do. So I would say Siakam.
Yeah. So I'm with that. I totally can get behind Siakam better over here than I could on. Actually, I still prefer the other two guys, but I do think Siakam is a little bit more in play. I like LeBron. I like OG. I like Middleton, and I like Harris. And those are pretty much the guys I'm using. If you want to play Durant, that's fine. I'm pretty locked into Harden, but I don't mind switching over to and taking Durant in a couple lineups. The other weird one that is going to be, it's not a good matchup, it's not whatever, but you're just going to get low ownership and you can put up 30 fantasy points pretty easily. He comes close most games anyway, is Kelly Oubre.
Yep.
All right, power forward.
Yeah, not a lot. of specials. You know what I mean? Everybody seems to be owned the way they're supposed to be. It's just what I'm looking at. I don't quite understand the Patrick Williams ownership, but that, you know.
I was gonna like almost have him locked in on.
Really, that's interesting.
You need look. We're desperate for value. He's underpriced. We have no Porter already. I don't believe in that Markkanen's going to play more minutes than he was. I think if Patrick Williams was to play tonight before this Q tag, I was assuming he was going to play about 35, 36 minutes. So what we have to figure out real quick is Thad. So I think Thad Young would become like we have to see who the Bulls are starting, but Thad Young would be the guy we could go to for value now. I like PJ Tucker and Kristaps. Those guys are going to be probably under 20% owned. And then I like Giannis, who's going to be lower owned than you'd think. But again, it's hard to get him in unless we know more about this other value. And we really don't have it confirmed in any way. So I do have Giannis with Patrick Williams in some lineups right now. And I've got Giannis with PJ Tucker in some other lineups to try and save some money. And then I have my more middling-ish would be KP with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I have nothing special. I mean, like Draymond Green is fine. I mean, he's owned. I mean, nothing major here. I like Kristaps more than most, I guess.
So ignore Wundu now. He's not starting with Jalen Brunson back. I actually thought they'd bring Brunson off the bench. I still like, to be honest, what that does is that makes me like Trey Burke even more.
Okay.
Because Trey Burke now gets the second. Look, it doesn't always work out for his favor, but now he's going to get the bench unit with I think a lesser, a guy in Porzingis who I think is going to play a little bit less than he did the last game. And I think that you're going to get Trey Burke running with that instead of having he and Brunson taking turns. He's got a Wundu with him on the second unit, which is going to like a no usage guy, and they don't really have high usage guys in their second unit unless they're playing Boban. So
all right, so center, everybody's cheap, right? All right, I think everybody's going to be owned as somewhat between 10 to 20% in there. I don't believe that Wiseman's going to be as chalky as you think. I think that people are going to go to different places. I think maybe actually that's not true. Maybe you're right. So I'm going to throw one out there. I'm with you with the Jordan thing. I just as a basketball person can't just quite do it. I'll throw it out there. We haven't really talked about that much. He really, for me, rates exactly the same as like some of these others, and just he's going to maybe fall through the cracks in ownership, and that's going to be Montrezl Harrell. So.
I knew you were going to say that. I had him called up. Yeah, I thought about that too, but I actually don't mind. Like, if you really need the extra savings to playing Gasol,
yep, makes sense.
And Gasol's going to have some ownership, but we're desperate for value, so that's where we're at. I'm not going to touch the other. I do think Brook Lopez is a really good play though. And I like your call. I like the Cousins thing. I like the Cousins as a pivot.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. I think there's a very I can't do it. My super crazy large field GPP play for DraftKings actually, even though we're doing FanDuel, I was starting to think about Kevon Looney because the Lakers play so big that Draymond, let's just say he plays 32. Wiseman hasn't played like more than 20. I mean, he's basically a 22-minute guy. He had the 28 minutes last. Maybe he will play a little bit more in this game, actually. But if Wiseman is only going to play 22, or if there's any foul trouble of any kind, which is very possible with the team playing two bigs all the time, all of a sudden Kevon Looney might get 20 minutes, and at 3.1 on DraftKings, that would make him in play for me. But yeah, it's tricky on FanDuel, man. It's not easy to get off of the chalk and build a lineup that you're comfortable with. And I'll answer some more questions, but I do want to actually build out some of my lineups because I have these ideas and we've talked about them, and there's not as many places to go. But I do think making a little move like playing Kobe White instead of playing Drew Holiday, or playing Cousins instead of playing Wiseman, that's the kind of thing that you can live with most of the other chalk if you get it right, the 25% stuff, if you get those plays right. Currently, I have Trey Burke in one of my big buy-ins. That's another one that I'm using. It's thin. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely understand that it's thin, but you got to try and get thin a little bit if you want to have a chance on this slate, in my opinion. Let's see. We got Luka there. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Sheets, have you noticed any questions in there that are worth bringing up?
You know what I noticed? I noticed how quickly you can turn a chalky lineup into something completely off the board in like 2 seconds. That's what I noticed. Let's take a look and see if there's any. Jalen Brunson starting. I saw that confirmed. Patrick Williams out. Did you see that?
Did not see that he was confirmed out. So that's a big. That's news. Let's see. Let's let the sites update their ownerships a little bit before.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So if he's going to be out, who's going to start?
I think Thad might.
You think Thad might start? And is it going to be? Is it really going to be an Arcidiacono's thing?
I think that he's in play for sure. It's weird though because it's Houston. We're used to them playing like 3, 4, 5 guards like they were last year, and that sort of made it more appealing. You could play him alongside White, Levine, but they don't really do that as much anymore. They've got Deshaun Tate is really he's like a 3-4. PJ Tucker's a 4-5. Woods is a 4-5. Cousins is a 5. Kurucs is a 4. McLemore is the only other guard off the bench, and then Nwaba is sort of an in-between. So I don't know, but look, we need the value. I'm definitely going to take some shots on DraftKings with it because I want to get some of these spend-ups here. And so we did get the starting lineups in for that one. Okay, so Kristaps, so we have KP officially as in playing, which makes me feel just much better about him on FanDuel.
Did you like Trey Burke on DraftKings also?
No.
Yeah.
He's a cheap way to get different on FanDuel, and that's what I liked about him. Deshaun Tate versus Eric Gordon is kind of an interesting decision on FanDuel to me. I think Deshaun Tate, I don't want to say he's safer, but he's not reliant on scoring. And it's a little bit more appealing on FanDuel to me. So I'm just started thinking this one out loud. And if you play, I wouldn't play Cousins and Wood together. Somebody asked me that question before. If you're going to make the Cousins play, I think you don't play Tucker. That would be the way I would go. And then look, the Kelly Oubre thing is just a play because it makes some sense. I wish I could find some Bulls run back in some of these lineups. I think I am going to throw Cousins into one of my big buy-ins on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think so.
It makes me nervous a little bit just because they really won't give him the minutes. I don't really understand it. I know that he's coming back from the injury, but he did play 24. Couldn't they give him 24? Can they give him 20 instead of 16? All right, so there's one lineup. The problem is, the Houston guys really do kind of just fit in. I'm just sort of skipping Oladipo today. I think he's a good play. Don't get me wrong. But I think the ownership. I think I might have him in one of my lineups on FanDuel. I think the ownership is going to drive me a little bit away because there's a lot of other good plays in the slate and similar price ranges on both sites. So that's just wanted to throw that out there.
I ended up not playing him on FanDuel.
Which one?
Oladipo.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so who did you find sort of being your preferred shooting guards? I mean, Harden obviously makes sense.
Harden and DiVincenzo in one, and DiVincenzo and Van Vliet in the other one.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Lowry, right, and the other one has Van Vliet, right, and so this is a pretty contrarian, man. I went if instead of Lowry, someone else. Look at this lineup on the bottom. This doesn't have Gordon. This has Van Vliet and Kobe White. This is center. Jesus Christ. This was chalky 5 seconds ago, and now
what happened to it? Which lineup
is it? Was chalky 5 seconds ago. Now nobody has any of this, so I like it.
No, I like that. On FanDuel, there is enough other value-y type of plays where you don't necessarily need to reach down for the bottom guys. But I am still going to try the Trey Burke thing in one lineup. I think that just makes enough sense, especially because I'm playing Toronto most everywhere. And I'm sort of stuck in a weird middling area here. I do think that, can you play Lowry? It's not the best matchup to play Lowry and Van Vliet together, but I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. Lowry, Deshaun Tate, okay.
Jeff Green starting. Okay.
That I expected.
Okay. That's big.
It's Rockets, Oladipo, Gordon, Nwaba, Tucker, and Wood. So it's not Deshaun Tate starting. And now don't everybody flock and expect that Nwaba is going to have a monster game. But I guess he's in play. I I'd like to get him at like minimum cost if I get him.
Nwaba?
Yeah.
Oh, screw him.
I mean, we're just desperate for some savings here, bro.
Again, but I mean, remember, like all these guys that we're seeing, all these COVID players, right?
Yeah.
These guys like not so much Precious, but like some of these other guys that like you're never going to see again because these other guys are out.
Oh, Precious.
Reach down for these guys when these guys come back. I don't know.
Was that last part one more time?
No, I don't think you have to reach back for these guys when all the regulars come back.
Yeah, I agree. One sort of interesting tournament play that we didn't talk about is Norman Powell. Just because he's like capable, cheap enough, and can always work himself into 30+ fantasy points.
Right.
And I think that he's a guy who you could consider on both sides. If you notice any questions or anything, Sheets, I'm just trying to get my final FanDuel lineup.
Yeah, if you like Jeff Green, this is a whatchamacallit. Again, I think it's a good matchup play. You know, I don't know if DeAndre Jordan is going to be the right fit for minutes, as Bobby said like several times. Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, if I don't play one Draymond Steph lineup, am I gonna just have to quit playing DFS?
Well, what do you so I'm fiddling around with this DraftKings stuff. Yeah, I don't know about Temple and Valentine, right? Aren't those guys still in play?
But they're in play, absolutely.
Okay.
Without both the wings, like I mean, honestly, I would think they would start Temple or Thad Young, maybe Temple, probably Temple, but it's like they're minimum anymore. You know, I played Temple the other time when he was 3,500. It's a little different playing him now. Let's see. So Deshaun Tate has now become a good tournament play, by the way. All of a sudden, Archie Diacono. So they're projected. Get this straightened out. Do you have any projected starting line? I mean, like even a projected starting line. I can't even get a projected starting line if it doesn't have Patrick Williams still in it. So I didn't get that word that he's out.
Okay. I mean,
can we confirm that he's out?
I'm going to take a look. Patrick Williams is shown as out on Yahoo.
Okay.
There's actually, there's some dispute about that on another Discord here. Nwaba starting.
Nwaba starting. Okay. That we know.
Wish the Bulls would give us some news. Let's see. I don't trust the opposite team line. Williams out. Otto Porter and Patrick Williams are added to the Bulls injury report, both out. Hutchinson and Satoransky are both out. Temple is upgraded from probable and will play. FanDuel has officially put out in the news section for Williams.
Jeff Green. Oops, I lost my computer. Let's use the charge. Okay. Yeah, so Jeff Green versus like I prefer PJ Tucker on FanDuel, but they are both in play at really cheap, as really cheap plays.
What about on DraftKings?
PJ Tucker. Yeah, I think that they're both. I think that Jeff Green's in play for sure.
No, between the two of them.
Let's see, Green's price on DraftKings is what?
4,200. So
he's a little cheaper.
Yep.
I prefer Tucker, but I definitely could see Jeff Green having a decent game here. It's just this game is going to be fast. It's got a lot of stuff going on. It feels like PJ Tucker has a higher ceiling and it gets the double more often. You get the bonus you end up with around 30 fantasy points. That's the way I always try to look at it with PJ. Another off the board guy who's for some reason always played extremely well against these Warriors is Kyle Kuzma, and he's been shooting the ball well. He's 4,200 on FanDuel.
That's interesting.
So I actually like the idea of trying to get a really, really low on Kuzma. And by the way, like we said, we've seen, with every hour, we always find out new information. So maybe fading, maybe playing some of these guys in these late games, you might end up getting a bonus that you're not even expecting. You never know when AD or LeBron, I don't think they're going to sit tonight, but you never know when something might come up. It could be a lot of different things. So I'm going to do one more thing. I think that this lineup is differentiated enough. I don't like that I've locked in DiVincenzo on FanDuel, but I don't hate it either. I almost don't think I need to go to Cousins in this lineup because it's different enough. I don't think I need to play 3 guys at like 5% on this slate. It's really asking for a lot to go your way. Boy, I would like to have some Chicago though, and I don't really have any of. The Wiseman thing is, I would love to try and find a way to get Brook Lopez in on FanDuel. I don't even mind if it's with Giannis or without him. It doesn't matter to me. Maybe that's what I need to do is drop the Luka thing and play my – you could play those 2 guys together, Kobe White and Holiday. Ooh, I'm 100 off of being able to do it. Kobe White and Lowry it is. I like this Kobe White idea. I would like to be playing a little bit more of the Houston side in the lineups, and I'm not getting them on the same exact ones other than Tucker and Gordon. I don't really feel that great about the other guys on FanDuel. Harder for me to get in, and I actually really like what I just did with this lineup because I think that the right thing to do is you should be playing some stacks of this Brooklyn game if you can. So getting guys like Brook Lopez in, like you mentioned with Drew, but he's going to unfortunately be a little higher owned. Same with Middleton, is going to be higher owned. But Brook Lopez is going to be in the teens. Playing him with Giannis and DiVincenzo, with Harden and Joe Harris on the other side, definitely makes a lot of sense to me. All right, so that's DraftKings. Now let's go back to FanDuel and just redo everything. Okay, Giannis.
This is kind of cool because, and I asked you this, when I first started talking about DFS. Do you ever? I guess the answer was no, because nobody does this. Everybody talks about how, their ownerships on certain sites and stuff like that with respect to how much like dollar ownership you have for players like across all sites. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I like, for example, I like Oladipo, and one of the reasons why I don't mind having him on FanDuel is because I do have him on DraftKings. You know what I mean? So yeah.
That makes sense. Giannis. What is Drew? Yeah. I get to this game the way I want to on DraftKings.
We'll take one more look at the power forward position on FanDuel here. So Porzingis, I have Porzingis and Draymond in both of my lineups over there. I guess I could play Tucker, but a little better ownership. Draymond's not going to be that bad.
I have to make Harris 5,800 on DraftKings. Jeez.
Let me see if they updated anything for the.
Yeah, I'm taking a look. I
want to see if they updated anything with this Patrick Williams thing.
Because Thad Young it's going to be whoever. We need a starting lineup though.
Yeah, well, you won't get it for 7:30, but
I hate playing Thad Young and guys like that on back-to-backs, but we may not have a choice tonight.
You might have a choice.
Who?
No, just not play it. That's all.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I'm playing Arcidiacono in my big one. I'll just say that right now. It feels really thin to play him. I mean, it is the second of the back-to-back though with these guys. My sneaky whatever. It's probably going to be Garrett Temple who starts. He's been banged up.
I got one place. I got a 15-minute projection for Arcidiacono.
Okay.
That's one place.
Some the other sites have him at 18.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Jeff Green is 42. He has to be in play at least a little bit if you're going to stack that game up.
Got a 27 minutes I have for Jeff Green on one place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean the minutes is whatever. Yeah, you know what? But no, there are only 2 top 5 players of all time in the game. Not like
no, but he doesn't need to do that much to get there at 4,200. And KD likes to play with him. Like he made that really clear when he signed with these guys.
This is my last decision, dude. Between Jeff Green and PJ Tucker on DraftKings.
I would prefer. I think I prefer PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
But I mean, look.
I know I don't hold you responsible. It's fine.
Jeff Green will actually do more while he's on the court. I'm just not sure it'll translate into doing actually anything. You know what I mean? Right. He'll try. He'll try to do some things. I'm starting to like Brooke Lopez more and more as I think about it, and all across and everything. I've got way more of him than I thought I was going to end up with. And I'm very, very sad not to play LeBron Steph because I just can't quite get there. Jeff Green, and I might even so Sterling Brown. Do we have Bruce Brown? Do we even have confirmation that Bruce Brown is in the starting lineup? This is his former team that he's going up against.
I'm sure it's somewhere.
Looking at the starting lineup.
Start in 2 seconds. I mean,
Bruce Brown, come on, baby.
I have him playing 25 minutes. I mean, dude, why do I have TLC playing 24 minutes? Is that what you're supposed to do?
Play TLC if you're going to play either of them. Don't play Bruce Brown over.
What are we supposed to play TLC? I mean,
he's not starting either, but yeah, TLC would be the guy you want.
You're on the speaker or something.
Yeah. TLC would be the guy you want to take a chance on. He could actually end up closing this game. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. He might be better play than Jeff Green. I think that's pretty close. Oh boy, I can almost get my other guy. I guess I can get Wood in here. And 3,400 guard. That's what I've got left. Ugh. It's really, really, really grim. Bryn Forbes. No, I'm just kidding.
What's wrong with Bryn Forbes?
Nothing's wrong with it.
I'm just asking.
Thad Young. I play TLC, Thad Young. Whoa. This is so weird. It's weird to be playing all the Chicago side, all these cheap Chicago guys and not touching the Houston guys. It's almost like I'm getting a little too cute. You run Nwaba in 1. Yikes. God, Nwaba that feels so thin. But everybody feels thin on these values if you want to try and stack up that game like I do.
David Nwaba is in fact starting.
Yeah. All right.
Is this? Am I mistaken, or is this is this David Nwaba revenge, or did he play for these guys, or was it Portland? I forget.
He played a few other places. I actually can't think off the top of my head whether he did play there. I think I might use him a little bit, just to be honest, because I don't have a whole lot of other options. And I'm already playing Thad Young. Just to give you an idea of what my lineup looks like, I'm already playing Thad Young and Ryan Arcidiacono in the same lineup with him. This is a mess, this slate. Oh, my God. It's hilarious, actually. But that's how I felt about yesterday's slate, and I almost won the big one, so – sometimes these little messy ones can end up working out in your favor. Just stay tuned, guys. Make sure you're looking at your everything up to the next lock and everything like that, because there's a lot out there that we still might find out that we don't know, even in the next 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm playing Harden in one of my 2 lineups on FanDuel, Mike. So yeah, I do have a bunch of bums in my DK lineup. I totally agree with you. I just couldn't figure out how to not have them. You know, sometimes you just got to roll with the bums. Sometimes that'll be my hashtag if I win tonight. Rolling with the bums.
Jalen Brunson, we didn't talk about either. He's obviously now that he's starting, he's a really good play on DraftKings, and I didn't mention him just because I wasn't able to.
All right, I got to run.
Okay.
Good luck, everybody. Root for my bums, Mike. I'm gonna need it.
Good luck, everybody. We'll see you soon.